Race day at Donington, the sun shining for a change after a pretty damp couple of days, and two Ginetta Junior Championship races in prospect to round out their season. The championship already won in dominant fashion by Freddie Slater with 16 race wins, but that is not to say that it's not been a competitive season, because whilst he has been the outstanding driver this year, there have been some other stars behind learning their racecraft and are still doing so this weekend, with second place in the championship still to be resolved. It's heading in favour of Hugo Schwarzer, who was yesterday's race winner, and he was helped in that task by his main rival Mikey Porter falling off the road on the first lap and triggering a red flag, and therefore being unable to take part in the restart because the car had had mechanical assistance to get it out of the gravel. Today, Schwarzer starts second on the grid, this grid on a driver's second best lap time. Mikey Porter is back on the third row, but you can see we get more overnight rain, but it is still very, very damp indeed offline. The racing line, such as it is dry. This will be the first activity of the day, as well as the cars are on the grid ready to go. But it's about to be a step into the unknown for them. On pole position is Alisha Palmovsky, who is sixth in the championship, yet to score a win this year. Yesterday's race, Hugo Schwarzer was in charge all the way, despite a couple of safety car periods. But it was an amended result in the end. Reza Siurathan second and Tom Spragg being given third ahead of Alisha Palmovsky. And Chase Fernandez, who was third on the road, was docked a couple of places for gaining an unfair advantage. So what was a really good drive by the Oldham driver goes to Saddleworth School. He was, as I say, dropped to fifth place in the final reckoning, and the top six was rounded out by Charlie Hart, who dropped back at the start, then came good as the race wore on. As I say, it was a red flag followed by two safety car interruptions. Let's see what they can do this morning then. The 14 to 17-year-olds in Ginetta Junior Racing have always delivered great racing. All of these cars are the same, Ginetta G40s with the slightly detuned engine for the less experienced driver. And Alisha Palmovsky on pole position with Hugo Schwarzer alongside. Double winner. Third on the grid, Henry Joslin, who was quick yesterday but had a spin, and then lining up fourth on the grid, Luca Hopkinson, ahead of Mikey Porter and then Tom Spragg. Next on the grid is Reza Siurathan, and Chase Fernandez starts eighth. Ninth is Charlie Hart after a grid drop, and Felix Livesey starting 10th on the grid. 11th is where you find Edu Robinson and Brea Anglis alongside. Next up, Alfie Davis and Nicholas Ellis. PrepTech and Elite Motorsport represented on that row, ahead of Jack Robinson, who spun into the gravel yesterday. Tom Ingram-Hill is alongside then Holly Mail and Harry Moss round out the grid. So the cars head now up towards Coppice Corner, and there, number 19 is Mikey Porter, the British-American driver, who really does need to get ahead of Hugo Schwarzer here to outscore him, to try to have a chance of taking second place within the championship. This is Reza Siurathan, who was the runner-up in yesterday's race. He was another one that yo-yoed a bit, but Siurathan, three times a winner, fourth in the championship coming into the race for McCarter, and has had good racecraft this year. Alisha Palmovsky then, who's been terribly unlucky, quick, but when she's been in the lead of races, something's gone wrong to trip her up, and it will be richly reserved if a victory could come in either this or the final round of the championship. It's been a season that's taken them largely with the British GT package, but they've had these two Ginetta Festival events, one at Silverstone and one at Cadwell Park, but they've raced on the Grand Prix circuit already this season. And to round out the calendar, 2.5 miles to the Grand Prix circuit, and it is, as you can see, a damp road, so a bit of caution, a bit of discretion needed on the first couple of laps of the race. The pace car, as it is, brings them round to the grid. It's not a rolling start, it will be a standing start, 20 minutes rather than a set number of laps, and fans programmed at the ready to identify who's who. Get ready for the start of a busy day of racing. The final rounds, not only of Ginetta Junior, but the Ginetta GT and Ginetta GT Academy Championships to go along with GB4, GB3 and the Intelligent Money British GT Championship that itself has a good representation of Ginettas within the entry to the grid. There, number 23 of Holly Mile. And so the last few cars slot into place, and a championship that has always been spectacular is about to deliver once again, one hopes, for 20 minutes of drama. The grid cleared, so the yellow car on pole position, Alisha Palmovsky. Hugo Schwarzer is alongside. The green flag showed that means everybody is good to go. The drivers then look towards the lighting gantry. Lights in a moment will go red, engine notes will rise. So long wait for the Reds and a long hold as well. But now we're racing, and a good getaway by Schwarzer, and tries to outdrag Palmovski on the run down towards Redgate Corner for the first time. Reza Siwurathan heads to the grass on the inside line, but the leaders are absolutely dead set level. Last of the late breakers into Redgate, and Hugo Schwarzer tries to find a bit more grip round the outside, gets his nose in front, gets run out wide onto the curb, and Alicia Palmovski has the inside line for Hollywood onto the top of the Craner curves. Then for the first time they dive downhill. The rear of the pack you can see there in number 27, Tom Ingram Hill, but the leaders are side by side. Alicia Palmovski hits the front, just gets across the front of Schwarzer's car then as they drop down towards the old hairpin, and she finds a bit of grip to get through the corner. So number 21, the yellow car of Alicia Palmovski leads, but Hugo Schwarzer right there in second place. Mikey Porter is in, what, sixth-ish as they head up the hill for the first time. In fact, he might have done better than that even now as he's on the move, trying to gain further ground as they come towards McLean. Palmovski leading, Schwarzer right up behind then, and drama for Reza Siwurathan, who's all sideways but manages to hang on to a big tank slapper at McLean's. Looks to the inside line now, heading up towards Coppice. Can't quite find a way through there. Another one looking to try to make progress. Chase Fernandez as well. Down towards the chicane they come then at the end of Starkey Straight for the first time. And Alicia Palmovski is up front. So down towards the S's they come. Alicia Palmovski leading the way, but Hugo Schwarzer looking for a way through on the inside line as they head towards the Melbourne hairpin at the end of the first lap. Palmovski goes defensive. To the outside line there goes Hugo Schwarzer and tries to line up for a move all the way around the outside. Often in these conditions there is a bit more grip to be found on the outside of the road, but it doesn't work. And if anything, Schwarzer leaves the door open now for Henry Jocelyn to come up the inside, and he does go through number 26 then, the white and orange and blue car of Henry Jocelyn, but that puts him on the outside line for Goddard's. Then you've got number 90 of Chase Fernandez with Mikey Porter on his inside. It's like a rolling start as they come out of Goddard's, but Alicia Palmovski just in the lead at the end of lap one, with everybody else in second place pretty much. They come over the line now as they come over the stripe. Schwarzer tries to get a toe from Palmovski down towards Redgate Corner. They come. Can he dive out at the last moment? He's in the draft, but no way through there. Fernandez for third on the inside, goes ahead of Jocelyn, and another big set comes from Reza Siwurathan to dive up the inside of Jocelyn as well, and goes through and takes with him as they drop to the top of the Craner curves Luca Hopkinson, number 48, who was another one in strife yesterday in the gravel. Then are the top two getting away here, managing to gap everybody else as they come down through the Craner curves, and Reza Siwurathan bravely on the damp part of the circuit goes third, up to fourth Hopkinson, and dropping down to fifth place now Chase Fernandez. Sixth is Jocelyn, and so Mikey Porter is eighth in fact now, because there's another one that's crept past him. So Mikey Porter was fourth over the line and eighth by the time they come out of the old hairpin. So this is not what he needs to go after Schwarzer in the championship for the runners-up spot. Towards Coppice they come, so the grey and green car in the background of Mikey Porter then, who trains for his racing with Ross Minton, the son of Alan Minton, the former boxer, and the British-American driver looking for a way through the traffic, but right now he's a bit stuck. One or two, look, you can just see in the background gesticulating, saying, don't fight me, work with me, let's go after the traffic ahead. Through the S's, Tom Spragg ahead of Mikey Porter then. Number 19, Mikey Porter, heading towards the Melbourne hairpin, the R racing car. Alicia Palmovski then under huge pressure. So the Elite Motorsports car up front. Porter makes his move on the inside there. Contact between him and Spragg. Contact again and again and again. Mikey Porter with his elbows out then. And the door didn't really open enough for him despite all the contact, because Spragg is ahead and he's about to lose another place, isn't he? Because round the outside there, look, diving up towards Goddard's goes Charlie Hart. He couldn't quite clear Spragg, but he has got himself ahead of Porter. Then goes wide and drops back behind as they come onto the pit straight. Alicia Palmovski somehow is still in the lead despite the best efforts of Hugo Schwarzer, who'll be modified at least by the fact that he's well clear of his championship runner-up spot rival. Because there he is, Mikey Porter then, trying to attack, trying to defend, comes out of Redgate, and once more to the top of the Craner curves. Charlie Hart, third generation racer, his dad having raced GT cars, his grandfather having raced trucks, and he is right on the tail as they plunge down the hill once again. Alicia Palmovski, whose motorsport lineage you can trace back to her great-grandfather, Marianne Palmowski, who raced Bristol Formula 1 stock cars from the 50s to the 70s, about to lose the lead. Hugo Schwarzer round the outside at Schwantz Curve. That's the inside line for McLean's. And Reza Siwurathan, he's trying to line up to make a move as well because the door opens for him. Schwarzer takes the lead. Siwurathan gets up the inside and goes second. Luca Hopkinson is there in 4th place. Going after all of them is Chase Fernandez, but Schwarzer leads. Siwurathan second, and Palmowski drops back into 3rd place. This is Reza Siwurathan's view now, up to 2nd place as they come onto Starkey Straight. So it's what, 5 for the race lead, pretty much. Schwarzer just ahead of Siwurathan, then Palmowski, then Hopkinson, and Chase Fernandez in 5th. Siwurathan has a look on the inside of the S's, but that's not really a place to be able to overtake anymore. In the old days, it was far more of a heavy braking zone and a left and a right hander. Now it's one straight line, a flick through with those much lower curves. Siwurathan offline to defend from Palmowski. To the outside line goes Hopkinson, up the inside line goes Fernandez. And he will just come out ahead as they make the run now up towards the left-hander of Goddard's once again. So Reza Siwurathan up into 2nd place, now going after the race leader. Chase Fernandez with a big dive on the inside goes 4th at the expense of Alicia Palmowski, and that is going to bring also into the mix Luca Hopkinson. Over the line then, in fact that was the 3rd, Fernandez, Hopkinson having fallen back already. So over the line, Schwarzer goes through, Siwurathan 2nd, Fernandez up to 3rd, which is where he was on the road yesterday before he got his penalty. In 4th place, Palmowski, and down to 5th is Luca Hopkinson as they round Redgate. But having led early on Alicia Palmowski's race, I'm afraid to say is unravelling a little bit now because she has gone from the lead down to 4th place, and it could be even worse. In 6th place, Henry Jocelyn trying to recover, having been well up on the opening lap of the race. And while all that drama has been going on, so we've had 3 laps completed. Last lap through, Reza Siwurathan set the fastest lap of the race, and you can see that he's got good pace still, right there on the back of the race leader. Siwurathan saying to Schwarzer, let's go, let's get away from the pack. We'll play later in the race, but let's try and break away. Schwarzer, though, is going defensive. Come on, come on, come on, he says, go, go, go. And Schwarzer also saying, stop battling with me. So they try to work together. But Siwurathan very definitely is the bigger of the two at the moment, and he knows it. So either let me go and we can pull away, or let's stop battling. Way out wide there, look, in the background has gone by the look of it Chase Fernandez back onto the road, but the leaders could barely be closer down to the S's. Siwurathan a little bit sideways, rattles over the curb. But he's going to have to make a move, I think, here, because the working together bit isn't happening. And Hugo Schwarzer is not looking as quick at the moment as Reza Siwurathan is behind. Now Schwarzer is being given a warning flag for track limit offences, so he needs to be careful, because if he carries on doing that, penalties will come. Siwurathan is on the attack now, look, coming up towards Goddard's, looks across. Is Schwarzer going to drop in behind him? Is he going to fight for the race lead? The danger is that trying to defend that lead brings the pack behind closer. Siwurathan is up the inside, coming out of Goddard's. Schwarzer gets a little bit crossed up, goes wide, but Reza Siwurathan still couldn't find a way through. Wait for the next bit of semaphores. They come across the line down towards Redgate now. Past pit out on the left, heading into the braking zone for Redgate. There is a gap on the inside, but of course to do it you have to go offline. Siwurathan tightens the line through the corner. Back onto the power, onto the top of the craters, into Hollywood now. Schwarzer with 11 3/4 minutes on the clock, still leads the way. Down to the old hairpin, nose to tail, the race leaders. This in replay was Siwurathan almost getting the lead. Went for the inside, a little bit of a rub with Schwarzer. Settled for 2nd place, and you had Luca Hopkinson getting sideways behind in 4th. Alicia Palmowski back up into 3rd place now. And while these are squabbling, could be closing. Now, Reza Siwurathan through on the inside line, gets the advantage. Palmowski is right back with them, and so finally Reza Siwurathan has gone through. You saw the air getting under the bonnet from that onboard shot, but I don't think it's anything to worry about hugely before the end of the race. 11 minutes away from the checkout we are, as now onto Starkey Straight they come. So there's a trio for the lead and another trio for 4th place. Reza Siwurathan trying to get away, but Palmowski it is in 3rd place, leader early on, with the fastest lap of the race to her name now, fighting back most definitely into the S's. We're not quite even halfway. 3 leaders dance over the S's curving. There in 6th place is Chase Fernandez, who's been up and down the order. And Reza Siwurathan it is, who leads down now into the Melbourne hairpin, the former Carter, keeping Hugo Schwarzer at bay. Another driver that's come from a good karting background. And then Alicia Palmowski, who was the runner-up in the Winter Series last year. They're in third place, but the one to watch potentially now is Hopkinson in fourth to see whether he can close on that leading trio and take with him Jocelyn and Fernandez. Schwarzer sideways out of Goddard's, Palmowski up into second place now. Now, while all this is going on, Mikey Porter is a somewhat distant seventh, but he might be fighting back a little bit. He's being helped by all the scuffles going on ahead. Luca Hopkinson has caught Schwarzer after that moment. He's at the inside, and so is Fernandez on Jocelyn. So third goes Hopkinson, fifth goes Fernandez. The leaders are almost tripping over themselves as well as Palmowski gets the run heading into Hollywood. Through the right, and then it's left into the Craner curves. Nose to tail the top two. Schwarzer back up into third place, coming out of Hollywood. And what was two trios is now a pair and a quartet. Risa Siwarathan just ahead of Alicia Palmowski. And again, we've seen in the past, drivers have the pace when they're chasing. But once they gain the pace, they don't get away. And Risa Siwarathan, who was looking so rapid earlier on, now can't shake off Alicia Palmowski, who's benefiting from a tow. Coming out of McLean's then. Head up the hill. Their third is Schwarzer. Side by side behind, Chase Fernandez on the inside line with a bit of grass in the front of the car. And on his outside is Luca Hopkinson. And then Henry Jocelyn, number 26, right with them. And Mikey Porter in seventh, desperately trying to play catch-up. He started at the front of the grid for yesterday's race, but today he does not seem to have the pace. Leaders down to the S's for fourth place, side by side. On the inside line there, number 48 is Luca Hopkinson. Henry Jocelyn lines up as well and goes through on the inside of Chase Fernandez. That was brave stuff by Jocelyn, committed to the line and forced Fernandez to make his own arrangements. He couldn't cut in, otherwise there would have been contact. And for the race lead, Alicia Palmowski to the outside line as they drop into the Melbourne hairpin now. Out on the right hand and make the climb up the hill. So the race leader, Risa Siwarathan, turns now through the left of Goddard's, the R Racing entry, ahead of the elite motorsport car of Alicia Palmowski. Chase Fernandez has now done the fastest lap of the race, but we'll see how long that stands for, because Schwarzer and Hopkinson go through side by side. Jocelyn is fifth, Fernandez is sixth, and Mikey Porter seventh. Now his last lap is quicker than one or two of those ahead of him. Hugo Schwarzer hanging on the third place on the inside line, 8 minutes to go now. The elite motorsport car looking somewhat muddy, wiper on, drops downhill. Schwarzer somewhat busy, hasn't had a chance to turn that wiper off yet. Charlie Hart, who we saw earlier on gaining ground, he's fallen back into 9th place, just ahead of number 31 of Felix Lindsay. And now a 5-second penalty goes the way of Luca Hopkinson for track limit abuses. So there he is, fourth on the road, but the penalty to be applied is going to drop him down the order, especially if this squabble behind catches up, that squabble including Henry Jocelyn and Chase Fernandez. So they're through together, up to third on the road now does go Hopkinson. Schwarzer switches sides in the white car, gets back up the inside and will retake the place, in fact, coming in towards Coppice Corner now. That puts Hopkinson on the outside line, and Jocelyn is getting ever closer and he's taking Fernandez with him. So it's going in a way from bad to worse for Hopkinson. The penalty is one thing, but the fact that there are more cars within the 5 seconds is even worse news. He's back ahead of Schwarzer, but they make contact. That delays Schwarzer. To the inside line goes Jocelyn. He's going to clear Schwarzer, but he can't get past Hopkinson, and Fernandez makes a big dive up the inside as well. Schwarzer all over the curve. Didn't have much option there, I don't think, because there wasn't a lot of road for him to use. And out wide there, look, goes the car of Luca Hopkinson coming out of the S's. That delays him. The leaders are side by side. Where to look next? Alicia Palmowski back in front now. Risa Siwarathan has the inside line though, coming up to Goddard's. They make contact again. Siwarathan hangs on to the big moment that he's tapped into. So Siwarathan leads Palmowski. Jocelyn is now up into third place, having been fifth at the start of the lap. Fourth is either Hugo Schwarzer or Chase Fernandez, depending on who gets to the timing line first, because they were side by side at Goddard. Schwarzer just goes ahead. Fernandez is next ahead of Hopkinson with his penalty, and the leaders are side by side into Redgate Corner. Hard on the brakes, Alicia Palmowski on the outside line, needs to get the undercut wide in, tighter. Can she get a move on the inside? The answer is no. Risa Siwarathan, with 6 minutes to run, hangs on to position. Down through the Craner curves then, out of Hollywood. And now Palmowski to the inside, retakes the lead, gets all sideways. Siwarathan back through on the inside and retakes the lead. Fantastic racing between the two. Alicia Palmowski had a big dive on the inside, lost traction and was so busy trying to sort out the slide, the door opened up again and Reza Siwarathan said thank you very much, and he's gone through and possibly now has taken the race win, in as much as he's now got a break. Look at the gap between first and second. Palmowski trying to fend off Jocelyn. Fourth is Schwarzer, and Mikey Porter, I think, has arrived on the scene again. So he's finally caught up with that other gaggle of cars. There he is on the outside. He's got Tom Spragg on the inside line. Just ahead of them is Chase Fernandez, who is now chased Fernandez, because rather than catching, he's being caught by that little gaggle behind him, and he's going to have to be on the defensive this time, in fact, coming down to the left-right flick of the S's. So Reza Siwarathan leading the way. And all of this from the fourth row of the grid, but the triple winner, looks like a fourth victory might be heading that way. There are more drivers still being warned about their track limit abuses, and this from the outside was what happened to Alisha Palmowski. So the yellow car in second place, Alisha Palmowski, goes for the race lead. There's the gap on the inside, but she's on the wet part of the road, can't slow the car down, gets it sideways, control the slide fantastically, but open the door and let back into the lead Reza Siwarathan. And now second is Henry Jocelyn. And a 5-second penalty for Hugo Schwarzer, a 5-second penalty for Mikey Porter for track limit offences as well. So Reza Siwarathan leads the way. What have we got left on the clock? 4 more minutes. So possibly 3 more laps even. So there, number 26, Henry Jocelyn goes second on the inside line. Chase Fernandez has done the fastest lap of the race, incidentally, now. So take penalties into the equation, it's going to be a very different order as they come over the line from what will be published as the result. And up front, Reza Siwarathan now has made that break. Again, Alisha Palmowski has a look on the inside where all that rain has been, but this time doesn't have the slide. So Henry Jocelyn going nicely, had a big spin late race yesterday, finished 11th. Pace today, and having one of his better showings. I think he's going to be on for his best result of the year. So into McLean's Henry Jocelyn there in second spot in the Preptech UK car. Behind in third, Alisha Palmowski, and then in fourth place is Hugo Schwarzer with a penalty. Fifth is 48 Luca Hopkinson with a penalty. In sixth place it's Chase Fernandez. Seventh is Mikey Porter with a penalty. So, as I say, it is going to be a very shuffled order. Down towards the S's they come for the 9th time of asking. Schwarzer attacks Palmowski. Palmowski looking for a way past Jocelyn. Nobody commits to a move there. But a good exit from the S's, like Palmowski gets, and you can have a go to the Melbourne hairpin. So she gets the run on the inside line. Others try to do likewise. Schwarzer goes to the inside. So does Hopkinson. So does Fernandez. And Palmowski, again, on the wetter part of the racetrack, has to try to slow down the car. Does so. Leans a little bit on Jocelyn. That opens the door for Schwarzer to come back on the inside. So it's 3 abreast now, heading up towards Goddard's. Palmowski in the middle, trying to work out which one to defend from. Jocelyn's got the tighter line for the corner, but also the wetter part of the road, but still commits to the inside line and gets his nose in front and comes out in second place. Schwarzer goes rally crossing once more. Fernandez is behind him. We've got 2 minutes and a bit on the clock, and Reza Siwarathan is away and gone by nearly 3 seconds now up front. Second, third, fourth, fifth, sixth, seventh, over the line as one. Mikey Porter is the one with his wheels pit out, trying to work his way through this gaggle of cars, but then he's got the penalty to be applied. Schwarzer heads for the gravel this time. Palmowski back on the inside of the car of Henry Jocelyn. They work their way through the Craner curves. Hopkinson then with a penalty round the outside of Jocelyn, inside line into the old hairpin. The car quivering under braking, goes through. But Henry Jocelyn not able to make a move back on the inside line, because that was a good pass by Luca Hopkinson and was able to make sure the car didn't run wide. Now it's Chase Fernandez on the move and on the curb and on the grass and going wide. So a little mistake made, and that means that Mikey Porter goes past him. Hugo Schwarzer in the white car goes past and then goes wide and then drops back behind. And Porter all of a sudden is a man on a mission. It's taken him a long time to catch back up. Now that he's with his playmates once again, he's up the inside of Luca Hopkinson. It's a real shame Porter's going to end up with this penalty because he's having a proper go now up through the traffic. That puts him fourth on the road. So you've got Siwarathan, then a huge gap. Then it's Palmowski ahead of Jocelyn, ahead of number 19, Mikey Porter, who has another look on the inside. So Porter fourth on the road. And seventh he was at the start of the lap. Over the curve, they all rattle. We've got less than a lap time left in the race, so they're going to start the last lap this time around, seemingly. Down towards the right-hander of the Melbourne hairpin they come. Another big send on the inside. Chase Fernandez versus Mikey Porter. Fernandez number 90. and the E3 Sport car, the current iteration of Jim Edwards Jr.'s team. The E3 being Jim Senior, Jim Junior, and Jane, who's been racing this year in the British Touring Car Championship. And go back to this time of year, what, 1990? Jim and his father, the leading lights in the Renault 5 Turbo Championship deciders, and now Jim Jr. running teams with great success. Chase Fernandez then to the inside line of Henry Jocelyn, and he's going to go through under braking for Redgate corner. Hopkinson attacks Schwarzer. Charlie Hart out of nowhere is back with them as well now in number 50. Tom Sprague behind, and there's contact at the approach to Hollywood there, which I think was involving Hart and possibly Schwarzer as well. And we lost a car out of all of that, and I think they've all survived it, but it did get a little bit leery. So 3 into 1 did not go. Jocelyn dives up the inside of Fernandez. It's going to be the checkered flag this time for the survivors. They will cross the line in one order. The result will be completely different when you apply the penalties. The one constant is going to be Reza Siwurathan. 6 places gained from his grid spot. He leads the way. Number 90, Chase Fernandez, under attack from Charlie Hart, who goes through on the inside. Nice pass that. And as Fernandez runs out wide, Tom Sprague gets up the inside. Luca Hopkinson is given a little bit of a hip and shoulder by Chase Fernandez as they dive into Coppice. Then Hart and Sprague get themselves together, and Hart gets sideways, and up the inside line goes Hopkinson, and off the road goes Hart all through the gravel. And so he plunges down the order as he has to dig himself out the other side. So having just arrived in the battle, he is rather rudely dispensed with. Now there are more, I think, being given penalties. Yes, Tom Sprague has copped for 1, and Henry Jocelyn has copped 5 seconds as well. So there, Reza Siwurathan, 2 corners to go, comes into the Melbourne hairpin, and he survived all the dramas of the race. He survived all the track limit warnings as well, pretty much. Second on the road, Alicia Palmowski. I think I'm right in saying she is clear of penalties, and then after that, let's make it up as we go along, because Mikey Porter is 3rd on the road, but he's got a penalty. Let's try and work out an order as they come over the line. It is victory for a delighted Reza Siwurathan then, who drove really well in that race to hit the front and then pull away. Reza Siwurathan wins from Alicia Palmowski. 3rd over the line, Mikey Porter ahead of Henry Jocelyn, ahead of Hugo Schwarzer, then Chase Fernandez, Luca Hopkinson and Tom Sprague. And then the penalties are going to be added on. Edu Robinson has got a 5-second penalty as well behind. He's the next one to come across the line. But Reza Siwurathan, no such dramas. A really good drive, very impressive indeed. And so it's going to be Reza Siwurathan, Alicia Palmowski and Chase Fernandez, the top 3. Yesterday Fernandez was 3rd on the road and then lost out of the track limits. Today he will inherit 3rd because of other people transgressing. So a really good start to the day's racing, and that is a typical Ginetta Junior race. Bags of overtaking, drivers that never think you can't overtake. Every corner is an opportunity, whether it's on or not, and it has always been a category that's delivered great racing, and it continues so to do. Long may Ginetta Junior racing continue. It has found lots of stars over the future, over the past few years, and will continue so to do, as Freddie Slater, this year's champion, now carves a name for himself in F4. It was from here that, as one example, Lando Norris came before going to Formula 1. In the other direction, to touring car racing, Tom Ingram, who's racing here this weekend. And the pick of the bunch this morning, Reza Siwurathan, 3 seconds clear at the end of the race. A race win for Reza Siwurathan from Alicia Palmowski. Chase Fernandez 3rd, Mikey Porter 4th, ahead of Henry Jocelyn, and then Hugo Schwarzer, Luca Hopkinson 7th from Tom Sprague, Charlie Hart and Felix Libsey once the penalties are applied. Harry Moss 11th from another penalised driver, Edu Robinson, then Alfie Davis from Rear Anglis and Holly Mile. Jack Robinson 16th from Tom Ingram Hill, and Nick Elliott in 18th place. So Reza Siwurathan taking a well-judged race win. Let's have a look at the highlights of that race that began with Alicia Palmowski squabbling with Hugo Schwarzer. Those two together on the run down towards Redgate corner. But Alicia Palmowski hit the front and led the first 3 laps of the race despite huge pressure from Hugo Schwarzer. Henry Jocelyn made a good start, ran 3rd as they went on to the top of the Kramer curves. And as ever, there were fierce battles all the way through the field, all the way through the race. The road very damp offline to begin with, and it was still treacherous as the race wore on. Alicia Palmowski coming under attack from Hugo Schwarzer, who finally made his move on the inside line. And Rita Siwurathan went through as well. Siwurathan then, showing good speed, got himself onto the back of Schwarzer. The two of them tried to work clear of the pack behind, with Luke Hopkinson yo-yoing up and down the order as well in number 48. Chase Fernandez made his move for third on the inside of Palmovski. And Hopkinson attack coming out of Goddard's as well. Schwarzer versus Siwurathan for the race lead, and eventually Rita Siwurathan was able to take advantage of Schwarzer going slightly wide at the old hairpin. He made his move on the inside of McLean's corner, and once ahead got his head down and pulled away. And Rita Siwurathan was, from that point on, unstoppable. Alicia Palmovski did try to get the lead back, and briefly did at the old hairpin, but had an enormous slide that she was lucky to save. Siwurathan back through on the inside and on target for win number 4 of the season. Checkered flag at the ready as Rita Siwurathan came through to score honours in the second race of the weekend in the Michelin Ginetta Junior Championship. And there's more to come this afternoon.